going on, everyone? It's Sam here from SG Angling. Thanks so much for tuning in to this video where I'm going to be going through the top low budget musky baits. And perhaps you are new to musky fishing and you are looking to save a few bucks. You're looking around the internet and you're like, holy smokes, musky baits are expensive. I've got a couple in my tackle box that are over $100. And you're like, man, I just want to catch a muskie. I do not want to have to break the bank doing it. So this video is for you if you are trying to cut back on some dollars and still trying to catch a lot of muskies in the meantime. Before I begin, I do want to say a couple things. The first is, if you are newer to musky fishing, please check out one of my recent videos. I'm going to put it up here. This is a video that basically shows you how to catch a muskie, just looking at things from the very basics if you're just looking to get into it. And then of course, in addition to making sure that you are doing everything properly, handling the fish properly, having the proper tools and techniques, it's also important too to get a membership to your local Muskies Inc. so that you are supporting the stocking efforts of these muskies. It doesn't do us any good to be fishing for them, but not supporting the stocking efforts and making sure that we're improving the resource itself. Let's get into the video for today. We do have 10 baits that I'm going to show you today, and I've put them in the 5 categories of musky baits. I did a video before on some good musky baits to get into, and they fell into 5 categories, which were bucktails or spinner baits, right? Anything with a spinner, top water, rubber, twitch baits and glide baits, and crankbaits. And we do find that about 99% of most musky baits fall under those 5 categories. So the low budget musky baits I'm going to show you today, I do have ones for each of those 5 categories, so hopefully that should help. Of course, we cannot have a video like this without talking about probably one of the most timeless baits of all, which is the Mepps Musky Killer. Just a little tiny bait, and it has caught so many muskies before the days of big Flashabou bucktails. The Mepps Musky Killer. It's only going to be $14.99. You can buy it at Cabela's, you can buy it on Amazon, and the nice thing about it is, instead of having like a round blade like this, or having, you know, 2 really big blades, it's just got a small single French style blade, and this can put out a vibration that's a little bit different. Muskies don't see it as much anymore, so it can be a really good downsized bait that gets muskies to commit. Another bait in the spinner category is the Spanky Baits Firefly. Instead of a single bladed option like this, it's a double bladed. It looks very similar to this bait here, but there's 2 blades on it. It's $12.99 on Team Rhino Outdoors. I will leave a link for that bait in the description below. It's only about 6 inches long, so it's about as long as this, and 1.3 ounces. So it's small, it's not going to make your wrist hurt, but it is going to certainly put a lot of muskies in the boat, especially if you just burn it over some weeds. All right, so let's move on to the topwater category. Of course, there's lots of prop style topwaters that cost a lot of money. Of course, you have the Lake X lures, and those can be excellent for putting muskie in the net, but you want to save some money too. And so River to Sea, it's the same company that makes the Whopper Plopper, which you may be familiar with. And of course, you can use the really small bass size Whopper Ploppers for muskie, but they make a Pro-Tuned Rover. This is the Pro-Tuned Rover. They have a small version and a large version. The large version is $12.99. Not bad at all. This is a walk the dog style topwater, so it's going to take some practice to get the technique down, but it basically goes back and forth on the top of the water. It's great for cloudy days when the water is calm, and can be good for rivers as well if you're trying to work it in and out of some tight cover. Now we move on to the 3rd category of bait, which is rubber, right? And rubber can be really hard to keep under budget because it's just an expensive material, and oftentimes things like bulldogs are really big baits, and they can cost a lot of money. So how do we keep the budget down? Well, the Savage Gear, which you're going to hear Savage Gear multiple times in this video, they make the Savage Gear Alien Eel. It's basically like a bulldog. If you've seen a bulldog before, I'll show it to you, it's right here. But this Savage Gear is a little bit smaller. It's 5 ounces and 12 inches. You can buy the black and orange. That's a great color to start with. And it's $14.99. So that's a really good bait. Really good price for the value. And of course, you're going to want to have rubber in your arsenal if you're a musky fisherman. This is a great place to start. Another option that a lot of people overlook is basically an oversized walleye bait. It can just be a single paddle tail, just like this. And you can get a jig head, you can get a 1 ounce jig head, and then a paddle tail, which this one here is about 5 to 5.5 inches, made by Runkle. You can buy a package of the paddle tails, and right now they're on sale, I think, for like $11.99. And then you can buy these really big hook jig heads, which will definitely withhold the strong mouths of a muskie. These are 5-out hooks, and these are really good for catching muskie. It's a nice downsized presentation. You can straight retrieve it, you can jig it, and the hooks can be bought for $4.99. So you can get 3 hooks for $4.99. You can get a package of these Runkle paddle tails for $11.99. So all in, they're like $16, $17, and you get 3 baits, which is super nice. Okay, so let's move on to the other category, which is twitch baits and glide baits. And glide baits can be super expensive. I have a glide bait in my tackle box that is probably worth about 150 bucks. Of course, you can spend a lot of money. These guys do such a beautiful job of designing and painting these baits, but how do you keep it under 15 bucks, or how do you keep it under 20 bucks? So twitch bait can work very similar to a glide bait, and this 4-play Savage Gear 4-play here is a jointed twitch bait. I've made some modifications to this by adding some little fins and a rubber tail, but you can use it right out of the box. This thing is great. It's got unbelievable action. You can twitch it, you can swim it like a swim bait, and it's just so good for pulling muskies out of cover when no other baits are doing so. If you're looking for an actual glide bait, there is a glide bait that is under $17 on Team Rhino Outdoors from Raptor Lures. It's a 7-inch Falcon glider. It's a little bit of a wider body profile, but it definitely walks side to side, just like any good glide bait's going to, and relatively inexpensive. Most glide baits are going to run you 20, 30, 40 bucks. So this is a great option for a glide bait that's keeps the budget down. Let's get into the last category, which is crankbaits. Crankbaits, and these crankbaits are not just going to be good for trolling and straight retrieving, but they also have a casting application to them. So the first one is the flatfish. This is kind of a little bit of an older bait. I've got a couple of them here. One is more of a natural, white and copper. This is more of a bright colored, like flashy chrome and yellow and blue. But these flatfish are $7.99. They've got really big hooks on them. They've got an unbelievably wide wobble. They can be good in the winter time. They can be good for trolling in the summer, or even straight retrieving. So they're very versatile. You can buy a couple of them for 15 bucks, and it's just a great bait to have in your tackle box. Of course, I can't have a video like this without talking about the Super Shad. The Super Shad is one of the most versatile lures that's going to be in your tackle box. It's $16.99. It's made of wood, so it does float. So if you straight retrieve it, that works, but if you twitch it and you hit cover like weeds or wood, you can let it pause and it'll rise back up. You can troll it. I've caught muskies trolling with it. It's just such a fantastic, timeless bait. It's got incredible action. It's got a little more of a tight wobble to it than the wide wobble flatfish, but it definitely can put a lot of fish in the net. And Rapala has done a good job making this bait, and it's $16.99. So I would definitely highly recommend the Super Shad. And then last but not least, you have the Rattling Shad. The Rattling Shad can be used, the real small ones can be used for bass, but you can also catch pike and muskie with the Rattling Shads. This is also called a rattle trap, $13.14, kind of a random price, but these are very flashy and extremely loud. Hence why they're called the rattle trap. So they kind of have a big lure feel in the water with being a really small bait. So you can hear it from a long ways away. The chrome is flashy from a long ways away, so they can get the attention of fish from quite a distance without being a super big bait. So I love the Rattling Shad. I think it's a great bait to use, especially in the springtime in shad-based reservoirs, but it can be great even through the summer and fall. So Always good to have one of these in your tackle box. So that does it for this video today. I wanted to thank you guys for tuning in. Hopefully it helps you if you have a lower budget and you're looking to keep the price down. Hopefully these baits are great. Just keep casting, be really persistent, and hopefully you'll catch a lot of muskies. Thanks guys, and we'll see you on the next video.